to today's class, which is a focus on fascia. Taking some of the exercises from the last video, which was 176, which were the exercises, the fascial exercises from the book by Robert Schleip, and today adding those into my class format, which is fairly familiar, will be fairly familiar anyway, and adding some of those things in. So we're going to start with the feet nice and wide, shoulder width apart and parallel, and reaching up, trying to touch the ceiling, stretching out both sides seams of the body, an equal amount roughly, and then hold both arms up. Everything's a bit lifted, shoulders are up around the ears, rib cage is flaring, and then lower your eye line and let's just take some big swings. So this, if you did the last class, was called the flying sword in the book. And in the old days, I used to ask my clients not to do this, to go into the what I call the hallelujah. But actually, when we're looking at working our fascia and warming up the whole body, we do want a little bit of that. So by all means, allow your body to swing, be nice and relaxed, keep the breathing going, breath out, breath in as you get to the top, looking up to the ceiling, letting those arms go back a little bit. Wonderful. The movement of crossing the body, working on the diagonal, we're going to take a low figure of 8. Transferring the weight from side to side. When I say low, I mean with my hands. My hands are staying pretty much at the same height. I'm turning and looking at the short end of my yoga mat, turning my head to face that side of the room, turning my shoulders, keeping the movement flowing, being conscious of your breathing, as in not holding the breath, and noticing. Think about the shape that you make with your hands. If I go really quite far out with the hands, as in away from my body, that I can just feel that moving stretching in a slightly different part in the muscles. Whereas if I keep my hands quite close to my body and I focus more on rotating the shoulders, I can feel a bit more twist going on around the ribs. This is the idea. That's something I've always been talking about, not really realising that it was connected, that it was all about the connective tissue and the fascia, that thing of going to the very edges and getting into the corners of all the movements. Then let's take a much bigger version of the figure of 8 at the side of the body. You're going to turn and lift the arms up behind you so that you've got this lovely rotational spiral rotation in the whole body from that back hand to the opposite toe or heel. Turning, looking, following your hands with your head. If you're worried about your balance, keep it maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe don't keep the head, don't move the head quite so much. The head will make a big difference to the balance. Maybe keep your feet and your weight a little bit more equally weighted. But if you can, explore going all the way round. How far round to that opposite corner? I'm reaching over to the opposite corner. Should be getting it all nice and warm. Great, then I'm going to keep my legs wide. I'm going to bend my knees into the international sports ready position. We're going to take some loose swimming. So as if you're doing backstroke in the pool. My knees are soft, I'm allowing my hips to go, but the main thing is rotating the shoulders and keeping the spine central. Backstroke, this will get me a little bit out of breath in a moment, and then front crawl. if you're finding, and I can see myself on my bigger screen, that I'm not only taking my arm behind me, it's going again off to the corner slightly. If you're finding it's still out to this corner here, so you haven't opened up, it's because you haven't opened up this shoulder enough. Open up the shoulder, rotating around. Elbows are soft, my neck is clunking and clicking a little bit. I'm definitely getting something moving. Knees are staying soft, my hips are going pretty much with the shoulder. Oh, still getting a clunky neck on that one. Flowing side bends. Arms are wide to start with, lifting one arm up, one arm down, and then going over to the side. Breath in the centre, breath out as you go over. Imagine with this one, especially with the top hand, you're trying to reach as far away as possible. When you come onto this side bend, reach the underneath arm across to the floor, where the floor and the wall meet. Reach the top arm up where the ceiling and the wall meet. So you're creating this diagonal line across your body, taking your fingertips in opposite directions. Let the head flow and go with the movement. Oh, nearly first rhyme of class. And I'm going a bit too fast now for the breathing, but breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, one more each side. Great, turning this into reaching one arm across, rainbow side bends and side steps. Reach one arm across, go up, take a big side step, the other arm follows that arc, and you bring your hands together at the side of your knees. I've turned my shoulders again to the side. Reach the furthest arm across the side, all the way up to the ceiling. As you do that big step, follow it with the other arm and going across. Reach out and up and over. Breathing wise, feels quite nice to breathe in as you go up. Breathe out as you rotate, and there again is that spiral. Getting the step as big as possible, which makes it a little bit more challenging. But generally, all of this stuff, for me anyway, feels nice. It feels like I'm really getting to the end of my movements. Great, okay, we have got some small swings, one leg stands, swings. Okay, so this was one of the exercises in the book. If you manage to find this, if you can do this on a step, then please do. If you've got a couple of yoga blocks, then go to those, or just standing on something that's quite sturdy and have some support. So I've gone to my wall here. The thing is with this feels completely different because this leg is literally dangling, and I'm not using any muscles I'm using muscles to move the leg forwards and backwards, but it's got a lovely heaviness to it. There's no tension, whereas when you're on the floor, you've sort of got a, I don't know, it just feels a bit more tense in the hips. So if you can get up a little bit elevated, then please do. And just let that leg swing quite naturally forwards and backwards. Pop your hands on your hips. I'm standing on 2 yoga blocks. It probably works with 1. Yep. As long as your foot is not actually making contact with the floor. Having said that, I'm going to swap sides. Your pelvis, your hips need to stay nice and level. So if you're a little bit low and you feel like you need to hike or hitch your hip up in order to clear the floor, that's not good. We want you to be working, as always, in a neutral pelvis. For me especially, hip flexors are really tight. Most people are tight there from too much sitting all day. And this is a lovely, relaxed, stretch, and it's just again keeping that elasticity in the hip flexors rather than being too tight. So going back to your first leg, we're going to turn this into, I'm going to go this way I think, actually I'm going to get the arms going first of all. So elbows bent, arms taking a nice circle. And this is a focus on, as you do this, not straightening the arms in front of you, pinning the elbow back. There's a focus on the position of my hand. Imagine if I had a neon sticker on the back of my hand. It's the circle that I'm drawing with this hand. And I want the middle of the circle to be the side seam of my torso. And then the other arm is doing the same. So standing nice and upright. And then we're going to add a small cycle of the leg. And in an ideal world, as that leg comes over, the opposite hand is coming forwards. Not the end of the world if you don't do that. So this is more of a coordination thing. But equally, because I'm trying to pin my elbows back, getting a nice bit of rotation in that upper body. I'm going to change sides, change legs even. Might be a little bit harder on this side. This is one you definitely want to be standing on the floor, rather than, you don't need to be elevated for this. And we're trying to, the same with the hand, we're trying to keep the ankle drawing an equal circle. And the middle of that circle is your other leg, your standing leg, your plumb line. All about the coordination. Do a bit of work on the standing leg. Let's do one more thing which will feel quite nice and flowy, and this is easy to start with. So if we're thinking about our fascia, it's responsible for our coordination as well. So the connective tissue that makes up the fascia, it carries the neural pathways. So it is part of our coordination and our muscle memory, if you like. So let's get both arms going at the same time. Okay, nice and easy, I hear you say. And then we're going the leg, the foot in the same direction. Again, nice and easy. But here's the thing, we didn't change direction with the legs when we were doing single arms, but anyway, let's keep the hands going in the same direction, and then the leg in the opposite direction. So I'm going to take my leg back as I take my hands forwards and then scoop. Oh yeah. And actually, as soon as you lose concentration, it's quite difficult. So my leg is going backwards, so let's set the leg up in that backward cycle. And then, as I'm at the top, my hands are going to go forwards. Foot goes back, hands go forwards. Ooh, as the foot goes forwards, that's swinging forwards, the elbows are back. That's another way of looking at it. Okay, I'm not going to chance doing any more on that side, I'm going to try the other side. So all together, elbows pinning back. Reverse the leg on its own. Trying not to make the circle too big, Mandy. Keeping it same size as it was last time. Okay, here we go. Leg is going back, hands are going forwards, elbows are back, the foot is lifting up. Ooh, yeah. I think that's right. I can even turn and smile. Whoa, no, it started to go the wrong way. Foot is forwards, elbows are back, foot is back, hands are forwards. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay, well done. Let me know in the comments how you get on with that one. Brilliant, let's look at our feet. So turning the feet in. Walking with the feet turned in. Notice how everything starts to feel like it wants to implode a little bit. But I'm on the whole of the foot. So equally weighted-ish between the heel joint, heel bone, the big toe and the little toe joint on both feet. Really feel, you can really feel it having an effect on the hips up there. And then turning the legs out. So we're actually turning the legs out or in the hip socket. This feels quite normal to me, just from my ballet. Feels like I've just stepped out of ballet class. Tends to make us a little bit more lifted in the chest, opening out, a little bit more upright. Making sure that your knees go over your toes, so you've still got the good alignment. It's not toes are out and knees are rolling in each time. That wouldn't be great. Next we are going onto the outside edge of our feet. So now we're only on that little toe side, all the way through to the heel. This is the one where we want to pull our toes up, our big toes up. So we go nice and close. That's my feet, my toes all level. That's my, oh, it gives me cramp a little bit. That's my big toes up and my the rest of my toes down, like doing a thumb. So do make a thumb. Now normally we walk forwards and backwards a little bit, but today when we're thinking about the fascia and focusing on it, go in all different directions. Forwards, backwards, sideways, round in a circle the other way. All a little bit odd. Great, and then let's go on the inside edge. Maybe give those ankles a bit of a roll or shake out if they're feeling a bit uncomfortable. So keeping the feet quite close together from the big toe joint all the way on that inside edge to the heel. Again, big toes are down, so it's the opposite way around now. The rest of your toes are up, so it's sort of like that, I guess, yeah, and then rolling in. Keep those knees, the knees will roll in and knock a little bit. You'll feel an opening out in your SI joint and your hips, the back of the hips there. Again, try and go different directions. It's quite awkward, it's difficult to balance. All good work for the feet. Brilliant. And then we're going to look at some Fred Flintstone walks, as I call them. So I'm just warming my feet up a little bit by pushing over on the ball of the foot, bending my toes. From the front, check out that my ankles are nice and square and parallel. I'm trying to go evenly across my feet. And then the Fred Flintstone walk is to go heel through the ball of the foot onto the toes. The other leg becomes unweighted now. I'm just going to lift that leg completely out of the way. I lift that heel up, so I'm on one leg, but I don't change my height. And then the next heel goes down. Roll through. No weight on the back leg. Lifting up, putting the heel down. This is quite tough. I'm just going to have my fingertip touching the wall. It's tough to do slowly. So if you get it moving a little bit faster, you don't need the wall. Because we're focusing on that straight line through the foot, I wouldn't do this to all different angles. This is more about rolling through the feet. This is getting the underneath muscles in the feet working hard and also strengthening the ankles. That's our Fred Flintstone walks. Into our double heel reverberation, which we did last week. So knees are soft, double bounce on the heel. Remember, if you happen to be talking or making a sound, it's and if you do this slightly weirdo noise, it does help. My knees are soft. I'm trying to get that dropping into the floor to get the reverberation all the way up the body. If things aren't wobbling, you're not relaxed enough, you're not doing this quite right. Everything should have a little bit of a wobble and a ripple at the end of it. Then we went into our heel strike skipping. So exactly the same as we just did, heavy heel step, heavy heel step, heel step, heel step, heel step, heel step. The legs swing and move. But what I'd like you to do this time is go in lots of different directions. So it's just that heavy heel drop step, heavy heel step, heel step, heel step, heel step, heel step, ba-da-da-da-da-da, crossing the legs over maybe like a little grapevine, targeting all the different muscles in the foot, making your brain have to think, whoa, I've got to stay on balance for this one. I've got to get my head, my centre of gravity over the foot. We're going forwards, no, we're going backwards. We're going sideways, we're changing direction. All really great for keeping everything active. Wonderful. We're taking a roll down. I'm going to face forward. No, I'm going to go sideways actually. So standing at the end of my mat, I'm going to take a roll down. We're going to do some African bends when we're sort of halfway there. Then I'm going to walk out into the plank for some calf stretches. And then I'll move the camera. So feet are hip width apart. Taking a roll down, chin onto the chest. Keep the pelvis in neutral, keep the pelvis over the middle of your feet. Soften the knees. Let that pelvis, that pubic bone slide back between the legs as soon as you need to. Unravel your body when you're there. Nod the head, shake the head, wiggle the shoulders. Hold on to one elbow with each hand. If you're not sure, have a look now for this position. Really let your head hang. And then we're just going to sway from side to side. These are our African bend sways. Bearing in mind we're looking to just challenge go into all the different angles, get all of the fibres involved, all the way around the joint. So as I'm doing this, I'm transferring my weight from one foot to the other. Then I'm going to release my hands, walk out into the downward dog to start with, so hips high, body in a V, and then walk and pad through your feet. So bend one knee at a time, pushing the other heel, the straight leg heel, into the floor, like you're walking, and then walk out with your hands. Keep your legs straight, walk out with your hands onto the plank. Maybe have a sway from side to side. There we go. And lift the hips up, walk the hands back again. Let's this time walk the feet towards the hands, and then soft knees rolling up through the spine. I've taken my legs a little bit wider there. Let's roll down one more time. My feet are pretty much shoulder width apart, rolling down. Now we're just looking at focusing on just putting a bit of weight through those hands here if you can when you're down to the floor. This time walk the feet back, lift the hips up nice and high, push the chest back through the arms. Maybe bend one arm at a time, move around within this stuff. Bend one arm, bend the opposite knee, that feels different. And then walking out into the plank again. From there, lowering both knees with control to the floor, and we're going to do some work on all fours. From all fours, with our hands underneath our shoulders, spreading fingers and the thumbs far apart, the knees directly underneath the hips, your body in its coffee table position, back of the head and neck lifted, and then from there taking our spine circle, so rib cage to the side, rib cage lifted up, rib cage to the other side, and let the ribs swing. direction, 3 or 4 in the other direction. Hopefully you can see with this one from the side that my arms and my legs aren't really changing. They're staying the same, but there is a swing from side to side. If I go here, I'm focusing on taking my ribs to the side, my ribs up, ribs to the other side, letting the ribs swing down and to the other side. Compared to the horizontal spine circle, so that was our vertical spine circle, where we're keeping the spine pretty much in its same shape and the ribs in the same place, in the same relationship to the floor, but we're circling around the wrist and the knees, so the hips and the shoulders are now working, plus the hands changing direction. Feel that lovely sort of stirring sensation going on in the hip joint, in the shoulder joint. Compressing the heels of the palms across your knuckles from little finger to forefinger, through the thumb as you go forwards, changing direction. Then let's sit back a moment, just rest down, hips on your heels if you can, elbows on the floor. Do some sea anemones, keep those hands and fingers nice and active. Great, and then we're just going to do some different hand positions, facing the fingers in. And as I'm doing this, I'm just taking a slight rock from side to side, and then I'm opening the hands out, fingers facing outwards, continuing to turn around. If this is too much with your weight over your hands or the heels of your palms, then just come back off of it a little bit. Take hips back onto your heels, don't have so much pressure there. Maybe having one arm forwards and one arm back. Playing about the same way we did with the skipping, same way we did with our walks, finding a different positions and noticing how that different position creates a slight different tweak somewhere in the body. Remember, we have our backs of the hands onto the floor. For this one, you do need to have your knees open, hips back on the heels, backs of the hands on the floor. I haven't got any weight through my hands, and I'm just gently rocking shoulders from side to side. Maybe going forwards and backwards a little bit, maybe taking a bit of a circle. Another one we've done, which I've just remembered, which I actually quite struggle with, keeping the fingers flat and lifting the heel of the palm, lifting the whole of the palm up. Now my hand that's closest to you, my left, is actually quite, this feels okay, and it sort of almost goes to 90 degrees, but my right hand, I'm right-handed, is obviously tighter. Everything's tighter in the palm of that hand. The angle is nowhere near 90 degrees. So that's something I need to work on a little bit. And I'm just going to alternate there actually. I'm not trying to put too much weight through, I'm just trying to lift up and sort of fold over. So another way of doing this would be to have your hands up and pull the fingers back. And then maybe move the wrist around. Quite strong. Brilliant. Okay, staying on our knees with our hips back on our heels and the knees nice and wide. Bring your elbows together, completely together. I'm going to show you both ways actually. So we're here, elbows are together underneath my shoulders, my hands are together. I'm going to release one hand and bring it out to the side, and the arm and the elbow. and coming to a sort of salute position. And then the movement is to rotate. I'm lifting the elbow up, I'm trying to look past the elbow and then coming back to parallel. So from the front, that looks like this. Salute with the arm parallel to the floor, shoulders are parallel to the floor, they're exactly in the same position they just were. And then you're lifting up, opening up the shoulders. The great thing about this, 2 or 3 on each side, 3 or 4 maybe. The great thing about this is because of the position of your legs, you can't join in with your hips and your pelvis. I'm going to swap sides. So salute with the other hand, elbow in the middle. If you're out here, it won't be as effective. Elbows in the middle to start with, release that hand and then lifting up, trying to look past that elbow. Keeping the elbow fixed out to the side. So it's basically the collarbone, the whole shoulder girdle that's opening. You might find that one side is a little bit tighter than the other. I feel like I'm doing too much talking today. I'm not really focusing on my breathing. If you do really have a tighter side, go back and do some extra on that tighter side. Play about with the breathing. Does it feel better if you breathe out when you open up, when you rotate? Does it feel better when you breathe in? Just try not to collapse in between. Keep that pressure the same. Brilliant. Let's turn that into, so that was quite a strong rotation in the upper body, getting into all those corners and edges. Let's turn that into a stretch for the hips, and this is quite strong. I'm going to face away from you, and we're going to start with the, in fact I'm going to need to come back a little bit, I think. We're going to start with the feet and knees together, otherwise you're in all fours but square box position. I'm going to extend my left leg out behind me and bring the left foot and the leg all the way around to the side. So my left foot and my right knee are level with each other. My hands are underneath my shoulders, and then I'm going to open up the left arm up and look up to the ceiling. This is the easiest of 3 stretches, so enjoy. The left foot is nice and flat, the ankle is relaxed, I'm trying to look past that hand, and then I'm going to bring that hand down. Then I'm going to sweep that left leg across my body, cross it all the way over, and so I'm now on the top of my left foot and on the little toe side more than anywhere. I'm going to lift my shoulders up out of the floor and lift my right arm up to the ceiling. You won't go as far. Squeeze those inside thighs together. Breathe, try and lift up out of the floor. That's strong. From here, we're going to open up. I'm going to lift up my left hip. As I lift up my left hip, my left foot sort of flips over to the other side. My right foot is opening out to the side as well. Lifting up the left hip, stacking the hips one on top of the other. Again, lifting the left arm. This should now feel quite comfortable. Left foot is flat. We've got a nice diagonal line. And then from the arm being up to the ceiling, reach it across above your head. Look into the palm of that left hand and push the left side ribs up to the ceiling. It should feel quite nice. And then continue to take the hand down to the floor, roll through the fingers and then unravel the spine. All of that on the other side. Here we go. Reset yourself, hands up underneath your shoulders, feet and knees together. Extend the right leg out behind you. The right leg will stay straight now all the way through these movements. So sweep it out to the right side, foot flat, left foot and knee level with each other. Open up the left side, reaching up to the ceiling. Imagine a straight line from your right fingertips down through your shoulders to the left heel of your palm. And breathe. That's the easy one. Hope you enjoyed. And then place the hands down. Lift out of the floor again. Sweep the right leg behind you and across as far as you can go. You end up being very relaxed on top of that foot towards the little toe side. Lift up out of the floor. Squeeze those inside thighs together. This side might be easier, it might be harder. It's a little bit tougher for me. Noticing that you're not getting anywhere near as much, or maybe you are, but I'm not getting anywhere near as much rotation in the spine. This is a challenging one. Breathe, relax, tough on the wrist, place that hand back down. Then we're going to focus on lifting the right hip. As you do that, the right foot flips over, so it's in its normal position. The left knee just sweeps across to the left as well. I'm driving my hips forward so that they're stacked one on top of the other. I'm reaching the right arm up to the ceiling. This now feels quite nice and balanced. Right foot is stabilising me on the floor. And then I'm reaching over to above my head, looking in the palm of that hand, pushing the right ribs underneath my right armpit up to the ceiling, and then reaching towards the floor, feeling the shoulders spiral round, and that brings the rest of the body round. Woo! Good job. A nice bit of Garuda stuff there. Wonderful. Let's sit nice and upright and do some seated footwork. Right up on those sit bones, taking the arms out to the side, fingertips on the floor, flexing the feet, digging the heels into the floor so the knees are soft, but our main focus is the length in the spine. We're going to hold the toes back as we extend at the ankle, then we're curling the toes over, making a foot fist, and then we're scrunching those feet in. Sometimes it's called cherry picking. Release the toes, hold them back. Extend the ankle, so straighten out the ankle joint, leaving the toes sticking up. Then curl the toes under, really working on those muscles underneath the foot. Keep hold of that cherry that you just plucked, and then release the toes. Heels stay where they are. Your legs, your knees will change position, but don't focus on that. Focus on the ankle and the toes if you can. And then let's go the other way. So from a regular, sort of flat position just with the feet flexed, scrunch the toes over independently, keep them scrunched, extend at the ankle, a little bit crampy, pull the toes back and then flex. Toes scrunch over. This always feels to me like you're sort of digging something out with your toes. Great, let's finish off here. Turning the whole leg out in the hip socket. So turning the legs out in the hip socket, knees and toes are going with each other, sort of extending the legs, turning everything in. Brilliant, and changing direction. Lots of wiggling about, going to the ends of the movement, rocking up the mat. Wonderful. Okay, taking a seated C curve. This is quite nice. This is I've always thought of the rolling like a ball in Pilates as a massage for your back, and that's exactly what we're going to do. But when we start to roll, and we're going to come up in a certain way, in fact let's just do it straight first of all. Sorry, so feet and knees hip width apart, hands underneath the backs of the knees, sitting up as tall as possible. Take that lovely pelvic scoop, really rounding out that lower back, which creates the C curve. Remember, it's quite a shallow curve. Come forwards until the shoulders are over the hips, and then we're coming out of it. Let's just do one more of those. Create the C curve, bring your feet and knees, or your feet together. I've got my knees slightly apart. You should be able to balance here. Toes on the floor. We should be able to just extend one leg without too much. I'm holding everything nice and strong in the centre. coming up, and just watch me for a moment. So we're going to go from there into rolling like a ball, but let's make it quite relaxed, not too Pilates, because we want to focus on the fascia today. So I want you to be relaxed. So fingers facing forwards, hands on the floor, create the curve, roll and come back up again. So you're there. This can be a little bit clunky, especially if you're like me. I've got quite a bony back when I go into this position, but what I want you to focus on is keeping the legs at the same angle, keeping the back in the same shape. So we're staying in that rounded C curve. And then what we're going to do is add on a slightly different movement. I want you to think about, as you roll back, when you come up, coming up on one side of your body, rather than coming up in the centre. So it looks like this. I might even go this way actually. Square my mat up, otherwise it's maybe going to look a little bit weird. So this is the one we just did. We were here and we're rolling back, and I'm going straight up and down my spine. Just to change this up a little bit and to target slightly different muscles, I'm going to go back. As I come up, I'm going to tuck my right foot in. I'm going to roll more down the right side, my right shoulder to my right hip, and be able to sit up here. And then when I roll back down again, and I'm using my hand a little bit to help me up, when I roll back down, I'm going to straighten up and then swap legs. So rolling, swapping over. And what you will find is that this should be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit less clunky, and it's really tucking those legs in that makes all the difference. So from here, straight back for the first one, tuck one leg in. If you were to come up, you'd be coming all the way up there. Rolling back down and in the middle, swapping over. Here. And we're there. And that should be quite good fun. Wonderful. Okay, we are coming on to some abdominal curls. This is pure Pilates. Everything we've done so far is very focused on the big movement, changing up all the movements. Now we want to really solidify and keep the torso absolutely still whilst we add on some other things. So let's come down onto our backs for our base position, hands interlaced at the back of the head, elbows are forwards, thinking about the curves in your spine, the natural curves, and then thinking about setting that torso. So shoulders slide down in your back towards your hips. That creates an armpit hug. That also creates a connection from the ribs at the front to the hips at the front. Natural curves in the lower back. You very slightly unweight the feet so that your sacrum goes a little bit heavier. You curl up, breathing out, and then rolling down to lay the upper body back down. But there's no relaxation on that lowering the body. There's just a breath in without any expansion of the rib cage. Check that you're not lifting your head out of your hands. You'll feel it. If the weight comes out of your hands, then you're definitely using your neck muscles to lift the head up. Try and use your arms. Try and let your head be heavy. Let's add on to this. Let's add an alternating knee fold and a lowering. Alternating knee fold. Remember, we're trying to clear the shoulder blades and we're trying to bring the knee so it's directly above the hip with no change in that lower back. Quite often, and I'm probably doing it a little bit myself, I haven't actually checked in the mirror, but quite often we bring that knee in too far. 90 degrees. And then when we start to get tired, which I'm doing myself, we start to lift the head out of the hands because we're getting tied in that abdominal wall. Let's add on knee fold, leg slide, all finishing at the top, and lower back down, feet come back to the starting position, head is lowered down. Breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in. Checking that you're not lifting your head out of your hands. One more each side for me. Keeping the foot that's on the floor, the leg slide foot, keeping it on the floor, not lifting it up. And finishing off there. We're adding on, we're just going to take 5 times an oblique twist to one side. We're adding to the knee fold leg a leg extension. So we've got knee fold leg slide. As you do your leg extension with this knee that's in the air, the leg that's in the air, take a twist towards the corner. Try and keep the shoulder blade that you're twisting towards, try and keep that. And lower. 5 of these. Knee fold leg slide, twist, and return. Knee fold leg slide, twist. I'm keeping count today, that was 3. We've got 2 more. Knee fold leg slide, twist. Keep those elbows the same distance apart, no rolling across your back. That was the last one. Let's swap sides, let's just get on with it straight away. Knee fold leg slide, twist. Whoopsie. Knee fold leg slide, extension and twist. That was 2. Try and make it nice and smooth. That was 3. 2 more. 4. Last one. 5. Check everything is in place. And a little relax. My hair is in the way today. I can't even rest my head down. Arms to the side. Let those legs just relax from side to side. Even this. Yes, we've tightened up the muscles in your abdominal wall, but as we do this movement, as we let those legs roll from side to side, head going in the opposite direction, we're now connecting back with the fascia, just allowing everything to release and flow a bit more freely again. That should feel quite nice. Brilliant. We have, oh yes, 2 more things to go. Abdominal ovals, so another tough abdominal exercise. Hopefully abs will be a little bit, not sore, but you'll be aware of them after this lesson today. So soles of the feet together, knees out to the side, hands are at the back of the head, elbows are forwards, maybe not quite as much as we just were, maybe a little bit wider. So I feel like my elbows are pretty much on the same angle as my knees. My lower back is in a good neutral. I'm going to connect everything in the abdominal wall. I'm going up to one knee and I'm rolling across the shoulder blades to lift up to the other side. The goal is to keep my pelvis still, my legs in the same place. And I'm sort of drawing a semicircle. This is the lower part of the circle. It becomes more of an oval just because of the amount of movement available to us. I'm going to rest down in the middle. I'm going to go up to the other leg. So I started on my left leg just then. And this time I'm going to try and draw the top half of the circle or the oval. So up to my right leg. This time from here, I'm going to clear my shoulder blades to go to touch down on the other side. And then clear and touch down. Clear and touch down. Only touching down on that one side, not coming back into the middle, because we're aiming for a semicircle, a semi oval. Last one. Just going to let my elbows drop out to the side, have a little break there, maybe bring those legs together, have a little twist from side to side. Finishing off with the full thing, which is an abdominal oval, as I call it. We've got the legs in this position to keep the pelvis in neutral. If you feel happier with your feet and knees together, absolutely fine. Ultimately, the pelvis should stay in neutral. We're going to go 3 times round in one direction, 3 times round in the other direction, then have a break and then repeat. Here we go. I'm reaching up towards my right knee. I'm going up over the top to the left knee. I'm rolling across back to my right shoulder blade. Right knee over the top, lift to left knee, roll across. This is the 3rd time in this direction. I'm going to roll across my shoulder blades to the left knee. Now go up and over to the right knee. That's 1 and 2. Hopefully you can see that my head, shoulders and arms, that was the 3, and I'm going to relax. I'm moving as one unit. It's not my head rolling around. It's not the elbows moving around. It's not the head. If I did already say that, I can't remember. Yeah, independently. We're moving as one focused unit. Here we go. 3 in each direction. I'm going to the other knee first of all. To my left knee. Up and over to the right knee. Roll across the shoulder blades. Left knee. Up and over. Roll across the shoulder blades. I'm trying to keep my legs still, but I'm focusing more on getting that height. Swapping direction. Right knee. Up and over to the left. Roll across the shoulder blades. Right knee up and over, roll across the shoulders. Ooh, 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 and enough. Good job. We are coming on to our tummies. I feel like a little stretch here actually, well not a stretch as such, yeah it feels like a stretch. Open my elbows, just lifting up, letting that the hips relax, feeling that bit of a release across the front of the torso. Maybe I'm winging this a little bit, it's not in my lesson plan, it just feels like exactly the right thing to do. Hopefully you'll feel the same. Hands sort of underneath the shoulders, lifting the head and extending. So we've got that nice back extension, but I'm also thinking about stretching and relaxing the front wall. Not to the point of feeling squished in the lower back though. I'm keeping my lower tummy pulled in. Last one. Okay, leg extension. I encourage you to cup your hip bones with your hands. And this feels a little bit like you're crushing your hip, you're crushing your hands with your hip bones, and it should feel like that. Push the pubic bone into the floor a little bit. Rib cage is connected to the hips at the front. Pull your belly button away from the floor. Lift, which will activate pelvic floor. You'll feel a switching on in the pelvic floor. Don't allow everything to collapse in the upper body. Lift the shoulder tips, lift the back of the head and neck, slide the shoulder blades down in the body. Feel and check those hands. Your hands are digital weighing scales now. You're absolutely going to keep the weight in both hands, hopefully completely equal, as you switch on one side, lift the leg, float the leg up to the ceiling. Take your time. There should be no rocking and rolling from side to side. Even though I'm lifting that great big lever of the leg, I'm not feeling extra crushed. I'm not feeling an extra crushing or extra weight in the palm of the hand on the side of the leg that's lifting, if that makes any sense at all, because I'm strongly stabilising everything from my centre, all the way around, from the shoulder blades to the ribs at the front, to the belly button pulling in, to the pelvic floor lifting. If you can feel even the tiniest bit of rocking and rolling, as I call it, from side to side, then you need to work a little bit more on that stamina. Last one, arms are forwards, very similar. Push the pubic bone into the floor, connect the ribs at the front, start with the tip of the nose on the floor, then lift the back of the head and neck up. Let's have thumbs up, reaching one arm up and lowering, lifting the other arm up and lowering. Think about your collarbone. It should be a straight line from side to side. I'm not pushing into the floor on the hand that's staying into the floor. I'm not twisting. I'm not rocking and rolling in the shoulder girdle. I'm not rocking and rolling in the pelvis either. That is staying absolutely solid. Pubic bone, hip bones are staying equally weighted. It's hard work, and it's very unlike all of the movements we did earlier on. But the good thing is we're going to finish with some lovely bear walks to remind us of all of that fascial work, or whatever feels right for you. So I've instinctively gone onto hips back onto the heels, knees are nice and wide. I want to take a sway from side to side. There's the sort of second rhyme of class. I want to turn my head and be that hungry cat. Or I also want to come up onto all fours and then into the downward dog and do some bear walks, but slow, steady bear walks in all directions, because what I'm doing is I'm exploring the stretches that putting a hand or a foot in a different position, just having your fingers facing a different position, will feel slightly, you'll just notice a change in where you're feeling the stretch. So at the moment I'm very much focusing on my calves, but I feel like I'm almost moving from one side of the calf to the other. When I turn my fingers in, for instance, that I can feel that down the side seam of my back much more. Bending the knee, straightening the leg, bending the elbow, straightening the arm, turning the head from side to side, moving my pelvis around, and then move around as well on the floor, but go quite slowly. So this has turned more into a giraffe having a drink, because my legs have gone wide as opposed to a bear walk, but crossing over makes a difference. Reach forwards, put a bit of weight over the shoulders, over the hands, step back, whatever you feel like doing. Have a little explore. How does that feel when you push more into the ball of the foot, when you're more back, your hips are more over your feet, so you're swinging the upper body more. Have a good old explore, good old wiggle about. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again very soon.